exactly what I'm going to be
I know.
doing. Welcome back for our last presentation for, actually no, this is not the last, the second from the last presentation for the morning. And I would like everybody to welcome Nerya Zidon. Okay. Okay. Originally from Jerusalem, Israel, Nerya shared the stage with several jazz art greats, including Billy Cobham, John Patitucci, Cora Rosenwinkel, and Tigran Amassian. Inspired by legends such as Quincy Jones and Arab Harper, Zidon aims to become a contemporary Renaissance man. He composes and arranges for a variety of musical settings, and has played everything from classical music and jazz to world music and prog metal. With vast knowledge of a range of musical instruments and genres, he has also delved into music production and audio engineering, working with clients around the world. His advisor is Chase Marin, and we welcome in his committee Professor Alan Mallet. Thank you for being with us. Nerya Zidon.
All right, thank you, Marco, for the kind introduction, and thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm very excited to present my culminating experience project titled An Exploration of West African Music and its Synthesis with Contemporary Western Musical Elements. I've developed a fascination with West African music for a few years now. So in addition to deepening my knowledge and understanding of it, I wanted to create a musical setting in which it can coexist with contemporary Western musical aesthetics. Obviously, there have been similar fusions in the past. For example, Salif Keita from Mali and Youssou N'Dour from Senegal have incorporated Western instruments and production techniques into their music. British artist Peter Gabriel is known to have featured West African artists in a pop rock setting. What I'm trying to achieve with this project is creating an even more harmonious synthesis of these two worlds, allowing them to coexist and inform one another. A third objective, which is just as important as the first two, is to help spreading what I think is an amazing musical culture. I imagine not many people would be interested in listening to a traditional performance for 30 or 40 minutes at first, but using elements which appeal to wider audiences, I hope to draw more people in. Growing up in Israel during the 90s, I was exposed to a vast variety of music, from pop, rock, funk, and R&B coming from the West to different traditional music from around the world. I then spent years studying Western classical music and jazz, developing an understanding of melody, harmony, composition, orchestration, and improvisation. My first encounter with West African music was about 6 years ago at Rimon School of Music in Israel during my lessons with percussionist Gilad Dubretsky. Playing traditional Guinean drums and rhythms, as well as Afro-Cuban, Afro-Brazilian, and Afro-Peruvian music, has opened my eyes to the huge impact West African music had on the American continent. Earlier this year, as I entered the Berklee Global Jazz Institute program, I noticed a great emphasis is being put on West African music here as well. This background led me to choose this as the focus of my CE project. Last August, I began conducting my research, which included months of extensive listening to music, reading books, watching documentaries, as well as receiving information from personal contacts. I then looked for references and inspirations on both the West African side and the Western one. I listened to many, many records, transcribed and analyzed different concepts used in them. I plan on bringing in West African musicians to record vocals and traditional instruments in the future. So until then, I had to work with placeholders in order to achieve a compositional sense of form. This was a challenge and very different from the way I usually compose, but I learned a lot as a result. Here are the areas I covered in my research this year. It's important to say that the borders, as you see them on the map, are artificial ones. They're a product of colonization in the past. And in reality, there are many ethnic groups spread all over West Africa. Therefore, many of these modern-day countries share culture, music, and musical instrument to some extent. In my compositions, I try to show as much musical variety as possible. I will be referring to these countries, though, just to give you a better sense of geographical location. So the first stop in our journey today is the Ewe people of southern Ghana. I spent the fall semester studying Ewe drumming with Jerry Leek, and thanks to my colleague Tarek Rantisi, I even got to meet an Ewe musician and Berklee alumni named Koblavi Delali. and he shared his knowledge of this culture with me. So for my first piece, I used one of the oldest drum and dance styles in the Ewe repertoire, Agbekor, which was originally formed to tell stories about the bravery of Ewe hunters and warriors. What you see on the screen is a traditional Agbekor ensemble, comprised of 7 different instrument types. Usually the lead drum is in charge of communicating with dancers, as the 6 supporting instruments maintain their ostinato rhythm. Since my instrumentation includes the drum set, I omitted the lead drum. Let's listen to the different parts. So here's my arrangement of an Agbekor song called Avu Matodzo. In it, I try to convey the chaos of war in an epic storytelling atmosphere. Thank you so much. So the second stop of our journey is Burkina Faso. I was exposed to the music of this area through Burkinabe djembe player Haruna Dembele. As I was improvising along to his song Nimania from his album Landa, I came up with a drum groove. Then my drummer Yair suggested that a traditional rhythm called Jansa would complement it. So the Jansa rhythm originates in the Kasuke people of southern Mali, but it has become popular all over West Africa. It is played with a traditional Mande ensemble, including the Dundun family drums, as you can see on the screen, as well as djembes, which I'll record in the future. As we listen to the rhythm, notice that some parts have an arrow above them, showing a pickup point where the part begins. So my composition combines the Jansa rhythm with sort of a funky bass line and a bit of New Orleans second line swing to it. The next stop of our journey is Mali, a huge country with its northern border reaching deep into the Sahara Desert. Mali is so ethnically and musically diverse that it would be impossible to capture its essence with just one composition. But a unifying element I found very prominent in this region was the multidimensionality of rhythm, meaning a space where different layers of binary and ternary time fields intertwine. So I tried to take these concepts and convey them in that track as well as in my improvisation. Our last stop for today is Guinea. Inspired by its rich Mande tradition, I incorporated two traditional rhythms in my next composition. The first rhythm is a member of the well-known Dununba rhythm family, which are strongly associated with masculinity, translating as the strong man dance. The variation I chose to use, created by Grandmaster djembe player Famoudou Konate, is called Donaba, which celebrates femininity, literally translating as the great woman dancer. You will hear this rhythm behind the main melody of my composition. The second rhythm I used is called Liberté, which means freedom. This rhythm was created by the group Ballet Liberté for the celebration of Guinea's independence from France in 1958. The rhythm is divided into two segments. Liberté 1 is in triple feel, which is the one I used for my composition, and Liberté 2 is in a duple feel. You will hear this rhythm in the solo section of my composition. So I took these two rhythms and I tried to create a composition that for the future album I envision would be like a celebration to close the whole album. So I've learned so much during the past year, and here are some of my plans to continue this project. First, I would like to expand my research to several other regions, including Senegal, Cameroon, Benin, and more. Then, as I finish the other compositions, I would like to assemble the necessary budget in order to bring in West African musicians. As I release the full project, I would like to have a booklet accompanying it with information about the different cultures, including West African references and inspiration sources. I would like to take a moment to thank my very, very good friend and an incredible drummer who's here today with us, Yair Amster. Yair has been an invaluable asset and resource throughout this whole process. And there are so many people I want to thank. So first of all, to Danilo and Marco for their mentorship and guidance throughout the whole year. To the BGGI visiting artists and faculty whom it was a privilege to learn from. John Patitucci, Terry Carrington, Joe Lovano, Dave Liebman, Ben Street, Adam Cruz, Luciana Sosa, Ellen Pasqua, Bruno Roberg, and Lefteris Cordis. To my private instructors this year, George Garzon, Alain Mallet, and Jerry Leak. To my teachers, to Chase Moore and my wonderful advisor, who's been a pleasure working with you. To my teachers, the music production and engineering department, as well as my teachers during my undergraduate studies. I've learned so much from all you guys. To Rimon School of Music and the Rimon Jazz Institute faculty. And a special thanks to, again, Yair Amster, Gilad Dubretsky, Koblavi Delali, and Ben Eilon, who referred me to so many additional information sources. Thank you to my family and my friends and for all of you for being here.
Nerya Zidon, congratulations. Wonderful. Woo. I'm going to immediately pass the microphone to your committee member, Alain Mallet.
So first of all, bravo. We've known each other for a minute now, probably since you first got here, and I know today why I'm in this position, so I'm going to try to be as respectful of the reason why I know why I'm here, and part of that reason is because you probably imagine that on some level we'll have a similar path because we have common interests. And so I just want to say right off the bat that I love this and I respect this greatly. And but I'm going to say a couple things that maybe are not fully, gushing about. Because here's what happened when we started working together this semester. You played me some stuff right away, and I thought it was close enough that I didn't want to. We only had 4 weeks to work together. I didn't want to say anything that was going to send your head spinning and go like, "Oh my gosh, do I need to redo everything or whatever?" So I'm going to be a little bit critical today, which I haven't been throughout the semester in that respect, because now is the time. So from a purely technical perspective, try to find a unique identity for each track. I start to hear patterns and concepts that are repeating themselves over 4 tracks. I think that's a little short-sighted in terms of the aesthetic, the pure aesthetic of the tracks themselves. From a musical perspective, everything is, I should say that, and it's spot on. So, this you heard before. Lose the electric guitar, man. It's 80s. I know it's somewhere in there in your brain. Lose it. Seriously, find a place where you can see it that way. Now, when you did the Mali song, which is the last one that you put together, something that Danilo said to Faris came to mind. My experience with music from Mali is like, because it's a desert, there's a lot less drums than in other parts of West Africa in some respect. At least a lot of the music that I know has like little drums, but no big hand drums. And I've come to love that aspect of it because also from a rhythmic perspective, it opens things up. On a different level, it would also create a dynamic opportunity that would let your voice speak in a different way. Because right now when you're playing on top of things that are very heavy. So I would love for you to consider the different dynamic opportunities that the music brings. Also, because when people think of West Africa, everybody thinks of big drums and et cetera, et cetera. I think that you have an opportunity to do something a little bit different with that and to let your voice shine through in a different kind of way. The last comment that I'll make is a little more general, but I would love for you. One of the ways that we are now, the fact that I'm influenced by Peter Gabriel and by Salif Keita and Youssou N'Dour, et cetera, I find that normal because that was my generation. You need to realize, in my opinion, that aesthetically, a lot of this shit has. Pardon me. Sorry, a lot of this stuff has gone. Please erase that. Has done its time, and it may have been part of your upbringing, but you have a responsibility to find new aesthetics for this music, one that is not reminiscent of the late 80s and 90s. Mm-hmm. And so in doing so, I think that you're going to also have an opportunity to delve into new areas of the music, because right now, my sense is that the form is as important as the substance. And so this leads me to the last thing that I want to say, which is that, to me, what you're doing right now, it's part of discovering yourself. And we need to wean ourselves of all these things that we have in ourselves in order to be able to say, I've done it. And what's going to remain is the substance. And that substance is going to inform everything that you do in your life. The aesthetic and the form, it's probably going to change many, many times. Ultimately, all this, if indeed we have similar paths, all this is going to lead to you doing only one kind of music, and that's your music. So where all these elements seem to meet and fuse in a very interesting way, ultimately you're going to find a unique voice through the use of all these things. And for that, I applaud you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alain Mallet. I want to congratulate you for this project. I think that it highlights your quality as a producer big time. It's really the way you put this together. The production of it is marvelous, and also as a researcher, this is a deep research you've done into music that is not necessary from your culture, and I know that part for you was very important. You didn't want it to just, appropriate, I think, the word that you used several times, and I understand. From that point of view, I see the subtitle, an exploration of West African music and its synthesis with contemporary Western music elements. I think you nailed what you wanted to do, your purpose. So from that point of view, I really had to compliment the work that you put in it, and the final result. This is beautiful music. I would love to hear this music in my car as I do my long commute. It will really make the commute much bearable. And so this need to be stated and maybe even overstated. With that said, I do agree with Alain, and I'm gonna add now, as a saxophone player, I'm gonna add an element. If I wouldn't know that this is your project, I would never imagine that this is a project of a saxophone player, which sometimes is good, because sometimes the saxophone player can go on the extreme of that. But I think you went a little bit on the extreme on the other side, and I know that you did that on purpose, okay? But here is, in line with what Alain told you, is an opportunity. I can see this is as a milestone in your research in putting together this beautiful project, but you now have an opportunity to get all this knowledge and create something with your personal sound. And let me tell you, I'm not just saying to make you feel good. I've been listening to you playing saxophone since the beginning of the program. And you know, many times I was in my office and I hear this really incredible playing, and I had to go see who was, and it was you. And I wish I would have heard this in some way today. I do agree. The saxophone is a second thought in this project, and it's very evident. And to me, that's the missed opportunity you have, because you have a very personal style of playing. You have a voice that is very distinguished, and somehow in the future, I really wanted to encourage you to develop it. And now, with exactly in the line of what you're doing here. Because to me, I also agree with Alain, certain influences are a little overstated. One, like the Pat Metheny for me, it doesn't have to be that apparent what your source of inspiration are, especially when you have, as an artist, such a unique sound. But I really want to congratulate on the overall production of what you did.
Thank you.
And now I would like to pass the microphone to your advisor.
Yeah, Nerya. Amazing. Yeah, it was wonderful working with you and hearing all this stuff. I have some maybe comments just about the presentation. And something I noticed was every week meeting with you that you were so passionate about showing me all this amazing. You're like, check this out. Whoa, I'm so excited about this. Whoa, look, listen to this part, that kind of thing. And I think more of that could come out in this presentation. You have such a passion for this music and all the things, all the elements that you're ingesting and working with. I would like to feel that as well as an audience member while you present the music. A little bit related to Elaine's comment about the music being stripped down. I think also when you present, if I remember correctly in your tracks, there's some places where it's a little bit stripped down. Maybe it's like more, 2 instruments or that kind of thing. I think for a presentation, it might be nice to have a balance of that and show some more, because you tended to show the high energy sections where it's like filling the entire spectrum and it's really, everyone's like getting up and ready to go. But I think it would be nice for some balance to have some of the more pared down sections as well. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Nerya, my brother, congratulations, man. A lot of work, unexpected. I like it because I feel like I'm in a movie that is your own movie, and I'm a character of your movie, and I have been confused, and I love it. And that's what we're talking about here. And the characters of movies, everybody make their own movie the way they want to make it. It's just when the results are unexpected, then we sit in this chair, and I'm like, what? This is kind of cool. First of all, there's such an ethnomusicology component to what you're doing. It's a very strong, I see a lot of passions being driven, in one idea. The quest for learning, the connections with the roots and the groove. One thing I know they mentioned that, but I want to make an emphasis. Like, you want the music to groove. I dig it. I'm up for it. I'm up for all of that, man. I guess what I've heard, take it from this perspective of, like, we're just trying to be thoughts, putting thoughts. Yeah, I didn't even write anything about music. I've just been writing things I remember, and things that maybe may inspire these things. I believe in your infinite potential. There's an infinity about us that we don't know, that we can only discover by believing on it. You have been a primary example this year for me of when somebody makes that you remind me of this, that when you don't like something, you change it. And you change your behavior, you change your attitude. At the end of the year, you produce something. And to me, that's the values of this experience. That you're such an inspiration for me. You had a, you could have been written your movie and it could end up in this kind of like, sort of like the guy running and, and going into the side and the guy in the shadow walking through the wall like, with the teeth and turn into this gremlin or something. And you decided that you want to be a superhero in a way of your life. And you turn it around and show us that beautiful saying that says, this is the quest of life, turning poison into medicine. And that's what you did. And I see it in this project and I feel it. And I am moved emotionally by that. Because it speaks to me very deeply. Saying that now to the thought that I want to leave you. If the conclusion for now is that you're saying, if you're always trying to be normal, you might miss out on the opportunity to find out how amazing you are, and that's what I want to say.
Thank you.
Nerya, congratulations. Beautiful project. Bravo, bravo. I think we're taking a break, right? We're taking a short break and we'll be back at 1:10 for AGA presentation. Thank you.